Hey everybody, it's HeroicMizu here. In today's video, finally was able to finish all my Tier 3 Punika maps for excavating. And I wanted to show you guys my data because based off my data, maybe you might change your mind on excavating and to see whether or not it's worth it. But you can check out my drops because I did 50 maps. At first I wanted to make this video when I did about 25 maps, but I found out that I actually didn't have enough data points in order to get a right conclusion on whether or not it was actually worth it. So let me tell you about excavating if you didn't know briefly. So I first heard about excavating off Don the Crown's YouTube channel, and at first I didn't even know what that was because I'm a new player to Lost Ark. But I decided to see what excavating was all about and try it out myself. And in tier 2 it was extremely useful because I got lots of moon breaths in order to enhance my gear. And if you don't know what moon breaths are, they're used to increase your honing chances. So from plus 14 to plus 15, that was so easy because I had so many moon breaths, and moon breaths were so expensive at the start of the game. However, in tier 3, I noticed that the loot tables is quite different from tier 2, so it may not be exactly the same. So I'm going to flip over to a spreadsheet, and yes, it's a spreadsheet, so don't be scared. There's going to be some math numbers involved. I know some people don't like spreadsheets. However, this spreadsheet will really help you figure out whether or not you're actually making a profit, and I tried to make it pretty simple from a viewable standpoint. Before I dive too deep into the spreadsheet, there's going to be a couple of things that you actually need to know. I'm going to be assuming that I'm going to buy all the materials, and also the prices are based off the current auction house prices on my server. So prices may be a little bit different. And on top of it, profits and losses are based off that current price. To get the true profits and losses, you actually have to take a snapshot of the prices that you would have gotten by selling it that day. And that's going to be a little bit too tedious. And I'm not going to do that because at the end of the day, all I'm worried about personally for me is whether or not I'm making a profit or loss on these tier 3 Punika maps. And if I'm making a profit, I'll continue to do excavating. If I'm making a loss, I will not be doing excavating. So let's dive deeper into the spreadsheet itself. But for the most part, if you want to access this Google Sheet, you can access it by clicking on the YouTube description. I'll have a link down below. And also in the comment section, you can also click on it as well. And once you actually open up the sheet will probably have a lock on it. However, if you click on the top left, File, and make a copy, you'll be able to make a copy of the spreadsheet and edit it as you please. But let's talk about how this spreadsheet works. So for the first column, it's fairly straightforward. It's going to be all my maps from 1 through 50. From column B through column K is basically all the drops that you can get. You can get the 2 craft kits here, which is the Apprentice, the blue one, the purple one, which is the Adept. And then the next 3 are pretty important, are the Solar Grace, Solar Blessing, and Solar Protection, which is all the enhancement materials that increase honing chances for tier 3. So this is going to be pretty important, and you're hoping to get many of these. For the next 3 are the Oreha relics, the rare relics, and the ancient relic, which is used in order to create enhancement materials, and also the maps as well, which is really useful. And the last 2, this is what you're praying for, to hit the lottery basically. You want to get the Expert Craft Kit and the Master Craft Kit, because if you can actually get these 2, you'll be able to come out ahead by a lot. Let's look at our last 3 columns. It's going to be our map cost, assuming if I bought all the materials. So if we look here on the Oreha relic price, I took the price right before this. It's around 16 gold, and I roughly need around 4 bundles. So the gold cost is 64. I also need rare relics, and it costs around 24 gold, and I need roughly around 20 bundles as well. And on top of it, for every map that I craft in the stronghold, it requires 39 gold. So in order to craft one map, assuming if I bought all the materials, it costs 583 gold. So this is just assuming if I bought everything. Now that you know how this spreadsheet works, let's talk about the drops itself. So I actually almost quit excavating around map 10 because by map 10, my spreadsheet said that I was actually losing gold. So I was losing 500 gold, and in the grand scheme of things, it might not be a lot. I decided to stick with it because I was still getting experience in my stronghold, and on top of it, I figured that maybe I was having bad RNG. So I decided to do it up to map 25, and I actually was going to make a video here, but I was only up ahead 1,000 gold. So I decided to do 25 additional maps and finally make this video because I figured I needed more data points. So I'm glad that I continued to do this because it wasn't until map 37. So row 37 here was when I got the Expert Craft Kit. And if you didn't know, the Expert Craft Kit sells, well, on my server anyways, it sells for roughly around 4,000 gold. and it's huge. So I decided to continue doing my maps. I was super excited to continue doing excavating. However, I was a little bit disappointed because as I continued to do additional maps, I was hoping for a master craft kit for this video. And I was getting closer and closer towards the end, and I was getting nervous. I was like, oh man, I'm not actually going to get a master craft kit, so I'm going to be up ahead around 5,000 gold or so. But at the last map, and I'm not kidding you, not just for this video, I didn't move this around or anything. On my 50th map, I got the master craft kit. And on my server, it goes for roughly around 17,000 gold. It used to be much higher, but the prices change and fluctuate. So basically, if you're doing tier 3 maps, you really want to hope for expert craft kits and master craft kits. This is what's going to make you bank in gold, but everything else is pretty much extra. So you really want a lot of solar grace, solar blessings, and solar protection. If you look at the rest of the data here, you get quite a bit of solar grace. In some instances, I get 7. Some cases I get 1, and there's many cases where I get 0. And solar blessing drops not as often, but the highest value that I received for solar blessings was 3. And solar protection is really rare. It's a really rare drop. So I've only received, I think, 2 total. Yes, 2 total. But if we go down on the spreadsheet and go to my subtotals, this is where the meat and potatoes are at. So if you see here, these are basically the calculations in order to figure out how many materials that I actually received. And then I took all the average prices here on my server right before filming this. And then if we look at the expected gold value, if I sold everything today, this is how much gold that I would receive here. So let's look at our total gold value. It's basically going to be the sum of all these here. And I roughly made, I'm going to round up, around 41,000 gold just for the sake of simplicity. And the number of maps I did is 50, and we're going to multiply that by the map cost. So 583, which basically sums up to 29,150 gold. So if I subtract these two values together, I made roughly 11,771 gold. So that's my profit overall, assuming if I bought all the materials. But granted, I did not buy all the materials. I recycled a lot of the materials that I used for the maps. So my profit is actually much higher than this. However, I'm just keeping things at a high level because all I wanted to know at the end of the day was whether or not I'm losing money doing tier 3 maps. And I can tell you it's worth it. However, is it worth it if you do not get these expert craft kits? So if I delete this expert craft kit and also delete the master craft kit, is it worth it? So I'm going to just delete it real quick. And if you see here, if I did not receive the expert craft kit and the master craft kit, I would actually be down 9,127 gold. This is not good. So I'm relying on the expert craft kit and the master craft kit. If I didn't get these, then I kind of would have been losing tons and tons of gold. And I highly suggest that if you're doing this, you're pretty much preying on RNG. And also, I highly suggest that you do not just buy all the materials outright because you might be just losing money in the end. If you're insanely lucky and you already received a couple expert craft kits and master craft kits, I would continue doing it. However, know that you might be losing money. That's why at the beginning of the video, I said that it is indeed profitable. However, there is caveats because if you do not get an expert craft kit or a master craft kit, your value is going to be much lower, especially if you bought materials. So I'm hoping you don't really buy all these materials. If you just need a couple more bundles just to get another map, I would do it. But for the most part, I would avoid buying materials because if you have bad RNG, you could be down a lot of gold. Let's summarize this overall now. Is excavating in tier 3 worth it for the Punika maps? I would say yes. It's worth it if you use farm mats. If you're using mats that you're bought off the auction house, then it's not worth it because now you're just RNG dependent on the expert and the master craft kits. And if you don't get one of those, well, you're kind of out of luck. So you can weigh out the pros and cons of this and whether or not you want to pursue excavating. But overall, I think it's a very profitable life skill that you can do. I'll continue to be doing the tier 3 Punika maps, and I'll probably make another update video and record all my findings once I probably get to 100 maps and see what my results are overall just to get good averages and the ideas of the drops that I get. But that's pretty much it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and the spreadsheet, and I'll catch you guys next time for another video of Lost Ark. Peace.